Yo YouTube, this is my video for Thursday 27th of June, which was yesterday. First of all, here are my stats. So I had some fuel from the day before, the night before, which gave me an average fuel price for this week of 13.4 pence per mile. I drove 228 miles, 228, and I worked for 8.5 hours. I earned from 3 CX jobs a total of £200, and I spent 30.67 pence. £30.67 pence per mile, £30.67 on fuel, which means that after the fuel taken into account, I earned £169 for my work. And I want to tell you about how the day went and how I changed at the end of the day what I would usually do. So in the morning, I hadn't got a job booked in for the previous day, and I managed to get a call about 9:05ish on a job that I bid on going from Wisbech to Hinckley. There was a couple of reasons why I like this job. So it was with a shipper that I know that if I put a reasonable price on, I'm in the right area, I will get the job, because he just trusts me to do the job properly. So I was reasonably optimistic I'd get the job. It was a medium wheelbase van load for going 80 miles, and I put a bid of £90, and that's quite a nice first job of the day amount to get. So anything near the £100 mark I quite like doing that. It makes the rest of the day a bit easier. It's a good start to the day. And the other reason it was good, it was getting me off from my home area to Hinckley, and I thought I'd have a good chance of getting a job from that area. So the journey to the pickup is 45 minutes or thereabouts. It's about 25 dead miles to get to Wisbech from my house. So I left at 9:07. I arrived at 9:48 on site. I was collecting 2 pallets. By the time they were loaded up, they're pretty efficient, that they usually are at this place. I was off site by 2 minutes past 10. And so I was on my way to Hinckley, and I arrived there at 12:05. Again, pretty good getting me off. I've done all the photos and done my photo the pod. It was 18 minutes past 12 and I was looking for another job. So I parked up in the yard of this delivery point. There's loads of space. It was quite quiet. And I looked for jobs. And I didn't have to wait very long. I got a call at 12:30, so that was 12 minutes later. And it's a job that I'd put a bid on going from Coventry to Atherstone. And I put on this job effectively my minimum price. And I'll talk about that in a moment, what I mean by that. But the job was for a small van. It was going 12 loaded miles, and I was 7 miles away from the pickup, about 20 minutes. And I bid £50, £50, which is sort of my minimum price job. Now, to talk about minimum prices a bit, I have a minimum price for anything above small vans, so short wheelbase, medium wheelbase, long wheelbase. My minimum price is £60, 60. And my minimum price for a small van job is £50, 50. Short wheelbase job. But that isn't strictly the case, because that sometimes that I'm in an area and there's no way I'm going to get a small van job for that price because the competition is too great. So I will go down to £40 if I need to win a job. But I tend to start at 50 and then get 45 and then 40 if it's a busy area, just to make sure I capture the best opportunity to get the best money. And with a long wheelbase job, I could get down to 55, possibly 60, no, 50 as well, that was the lowest. So probably realistically my real minimum is £40, but I try to go that low if I can help it. Anything below that seems to me like a waste of time and not worth doing the job. But you know, sometimes there's always exceptions to those rules. Anyway, in this particular case, I got the call at 12:30, and I was thinking, well, I might even have a chance of getting this done within the hour. So it was about 20 minutes to pick up, and then I thought maybe half an hour for the job, and then a few minutes to pick up and drop off. So I got myself to Coventry, arrived at an engineering firm, and immediately had to wait for, well, he said 5 minutes, but it's more like 10 minutes plus a bit longer. So I arrived there at 12:51. I was probably there for until about 1:05ish, maybe even 1:10. And what I was given was a piece of paper and a small box. And I made my way to Atherstone, which was only about half an hour away. And the traffic was a little bit busy in places, but I'm trying to sort of get there as quickly as possible. So I thought I was on a bit of a roll. And then when I arrived at the right road, I looked for the name of the company, which is on my CX app, and I couldn't find the name of the company on the road. So I looked on the app, there was no unit number, there was no number to call. So my first response was to put the name of the company into Google Maps, see if it came up, and it did not. And I put the name of the customer, which was a different name that was delivering for. So I was delivering on behalf of a customer, let's say customer X, going to B, place B. And I had a written note in my CX app about customer X name, but my address to go to was customer B, or place B. So I looked then at the paperwork, and this is where I got a bit of a shock, because the dispatch address on my paperwork was St Neots, and it was in the name of company X, who I was doing the job for. So I seriously thought, am I meant to be at St Neots, not Atherstone? But the CX app definitely had Atherstone at this road. So I couldn't resolve the issue from the paperwork or from Google Maps. So my next sort of solution was to call the shipper and ask them, did they have a unit name or a unit number or a telephone number for the customer I was delivering to. So I rang the shipper and he gave me a letter for the unit and a phone number, and he got that from Google Maps. Now, I could have gone to Google Maps, I suppose, but I feel it's fair enough from my point of view to at this point ring the shipper and see if they've got any information that's not written in the app. I think it's down to the shipper to put the unit number of a location if the name is not going to be searchable. Anyway, so I got the information, I found the unit, and then I just hoped that at this point I didn't mention to the shipper that the paperwork is different. I thought, don't get into that, just find the right place where you are right now and see what comes out of that. My instinct when I was to ring the shipper, my instinct was to say, oh, this paperwork doesn't match up, but then I thought, no, that's going to just make things more complicated. Just get the information you need right now. So I got to the unit and I just hoped that the guy there was expecting something, and luckily, as he saw me and saw the box, his eyes lit up and he knew instantly what I was there for. So I was really relieved that he knew and wanted the thing in the box. So I just said, is this the right place? Are you sure? Let's look at the paperwork, it's different. And he said, yeah, that's weird, that shouldn't be like that, it should be here. So he was fine, he was expecting the item, he was pleased to have it, and I was able to get him to sign paperwork, and I could then retain the paperwork on this occasion. He didn't really want it, and I could use that as evidence for the pod. So I did that. So luckily, in the end, I didn't have to go to St. Neots. The paperwork was just wrong based on what they wanted. And I'd got this all finished, and it was 1:45, and I was now looking for another job. So it was 7 minutes later, 1:53, when I got a call on one of my bids, and it was a job going from Colville to Corby. It was for a midi-sized van, and the lady on the phone asked me, have I got blankets? And I said I had. She said, that's good, because you're going to head office, so they're going to be really strict about this. So I left going towards Corby. It was 15 miles away to the pickup, about half an hour's journey. I got a sense from the phone call that it was reasonably urgent, and so I sort of got there as quick as I could. And the job itself was 49 loaded miles, and I got £60 for that job. When I arrived at the head office of the pickup point, I went down the left-hand side road to the building, first of all, because the maps looked like that could be a way around to the back, and that just went down a dead end and to some other companies. So I came back, went to the right-hand side of the building to the security gate. I explained why I was there, and he said, you got to go back to the other side of the building. And I was thinking, well, I've just been that side, there's nothing there. And he's explained to me where to go and pointing it out. And it just the way that he described it just was unclear to me. English wasn't his first language, I think, was part of the problem. And he kept saying, do you understand? And I said, not really. And I was looking where he's pointing, and he was sort of describing it, going the other side of the building. I was thinking, well, I've just been there. There was no entrance at that side of the building. And I thought, well, does he mean go into the car park? And then, is that what I mean? So I said that. He said, no, don't go to the car park, that's the staff car park. And he said, he was saying these instructions, and I thought, he's just saying the same thing over and over again, like I'm going to understand it differently. It just wasn't, in my mind, clear enough. I knew where I thought I was going to go. I was going to go into the car park, and I was going to go to the left-hand side of the building, which is where he was pointing at. But he didn't describe it that way. But so in the end, I said I'm just going to go. If I have problems, I'll come back. So I went to where I thought I was meant to go, which was into the main car park at the front of the building, and then you just sort of go left to where there's a van bit of parking. If he just said go to the car park and turn left, I'd have been fine. But he didn't use those words. He didn't use that description. It was really, he was sort of pointing with his finger, go to the other side of the building. It's that side of the building. But is it a side entrance to the building? It's weird. Anyway, I can't remember the words, but it just wasn't clear. But in the end, I went there, and when I first arrived at this point, I thought this looks like an office. I don't think she was coming here to collect. But when I got a bit closer to the door, which was open, it was a customer collections point. So I thought I'll just walk in there and see if it's the right place. And as I walked in, I could see a bell which had courier collections, and I knew I was in the right place. So I rang the bell and very quickly got helped with somebody. So I collected the item, and it was going to another depot in Corby for immediate use. this item was a windscreen, and I wasn't quite sure how they wanted me to transport it, whether it's upright or on its side. Sorry, on its side, upright, or lying down. So I asked the guy, how do you want me to do this? And he said, put some blankets down. So I took a couple of blankets down, put a blanket on my bulkhead to sort of protect it, the edge of it there. He brought this windscreen out to me, which was fully protected around the edges. He laid it down flat, as in like a dome, and then I put a strap around it with a blanket on top, just to protect it where the strap was. And it wasn't too tight, the strap, just to keep it sort of secure in place. And he was happy, and I was happy with that. So I now know how to transport a sort of free-standing windscreen now. Quite an easy little job really in the end. I let him put the windscreen onto my van, and when I got to the other end, I got the guy to take it off my van, so I didn't have to pick it up. So it's not a bad way of using my van, because it's quite a bulky item, and I've got lots of floor space, a lot of blankets, so it's quite easy for me to transport it in my van. So I made my way. Once I've done all the sort of strapping up and everything, I left the site at 2:43, and then I made my way towards Corby. It was around about an hour's journey to get there. And when I arrived, it was, the place was on a supermarket site. So I arrived at the supermarket car park, and I thought, am I meant to go to deliveries here? That didn't seem quite right. So I went around the car park a bit, had a look around, so that anything more obvious. And luckily there was a really clear liveried porter cabin, and that's where I went with it. Got it offloaded, and then by the time I'd finished all the paperwork, it was 5 to 4. So 3 jobs down, £200 in the bag, and I was in Corby. And I don't often, or I've never really ended up in Corby at the end of the day, and there's often jobs in the morning coming from Corby, there's often jobs going to Corby around the country. So I thought it's not a bad place to end up and see what happens. Now, I'm from Corby, I was an hour from home, and I had a decision to make, and I usually would have been looking for a job anywhere to make a decent amount of money, so a small job or a long job from here, and dead mine at home. And there was a couple of jobs from Corby. There's one going to Colchester, and there's one going something like Nottingham, I'm guessing, Nottingham or Leeds, somewhere like that. Nowhere particularly close to my house. I would have loved to go to Peterborough, but that wasn't happening. So I put some bids on, and there's a job going to Glasgow from nearby. It wasn't Corby, but somewhere nearby. And I thought I should really want to do that Glasgow job, but I just felt it probably wasn't the wise thing to do, bearing in mind the work-life balance issues I had this week. So I made a decision, I cancelled the job to Colchester, and I thought, let's just go home, let's call it a day. I'm not going to make target, but I'm going to have an early day.